Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I am Nur Rahma Razak and I will explain about the syntax. As for the point that will explain, namely heads and complement, selection, heads the sentence, and structural ambiguities. The first is heads and complements. Phrase structure trees also show relationship among the elements in a sentence. The head of a phrase is the word whose lexical category defines the type of phrase. The noun in a noun phrase, the verb in a verb phrase, and so on. Reviewing the phrase structure rules in the previous section, we see that every verb phrase contains a verb, which is its head. The verb phrase may also contain other categories, such as noun phrase or complementizer phrase. The sister categories are complements. They complete the meaning of the phrase. Loosely speaking, the entire phrase refers to whatever the head verb refers to. For example, the verb phrase is find a puppy refers to an event of finding. The noun phrase object in the verb phrase that completes its meaning is a complement. The underscore CP or complementizer phrase in the sentence, I dog the child found the puppy, is also a complement. Every phrasal category then has a head of its same syntactic type. Noun phrases are headed by nouns, prepositional phrases are headed by preposition, and complementizer phrase by complementizer, and so on. And every phrasal head can have a complement which provides further information about the head. The next is selection. Whether a verb takes complement or not depends on the properties of the verb. Verbs select different kinds of complements. For example, verbs like put and give take both a noun phrase and a prepositional phrase complement, but cannot occur with either alone. For example, Sam put the milk in the refrigerator. While sleep is an intransitive verb, it cannot take a noun phrase a complement. Some verbs such as think select a sentence complement, and other verbs like tell select a noun phrase and a sentence. Other categories besides verbs also select their complements. For example, the belief in a freedom of speech and their sympathy for the victims. Noun belief select either a prepositional phrase or a complementizer phrase, while the noun sympathy select a prepositional phrase but not a complementizer phrase. Adjective can also have complements. For example, the adjective tired and proud select prepositional phrase. Tired of that sandwich, proud of her children. The information about the complement type selected by particular verb and other lexical item is called C selection or subcategorization and is included in the lexical entry of the item in our mental lexicon. Here, C stands for categorical and is not to be confused with the C that stands for complementizer. We apologize for the clash of symbols, but that's what it's like in linguistic literature. Verbs also include in their lexical entry a specification of certain intrinsic semantic properties of their subjects and complement, just as they select for syntactic category. The kind of selection is called S selection, S for semantic. The well-formed of a phrase depends then on at least two factors: whether the phrase conforms to the structural constraints of the language as expressed in the phrase structure rules, and whether it obeys the selectional requirement of the head, both syntactic. or C selection, and the semantic C S selection. The next is what heads the sentence. We said earlier that all phrases have a heads. One category that we have not yet discussed in this regard is a sentence. As not early, words like will, has, is, and may are auxiliary verbs belonging to the category auxiliary, which also includes modals such as might, could, would, can, and several others. They occur in structures such as the following one. Auxiliary verbs specify time frame from the event or state described by the verb, whether it will take place in the future already, took place in the past, or is taking place now. A modal such as might contain possibility as a part of its meaning and say it's possible that the events will occur at some future time. The category auxiliary is neutral category to head, as just the verb phrase is about the situation described by the verb. Eat as cream is about eating, so sentence is about situation or state of affair that occurs at some point in time. If previously described, verb phrase is complementary to auxiliary. Here, the selective relationship between auxiliary and verb phrase is shown by the fact that certain auxiliaries use certain types of verb phrase. For example, auxiliary B takes the progressive from ing of the verb, while auxiliary has chosen the past participle in of the verb, and modal chooses the infinitival form of the verb without the affix. To have a uniform notation, many linguists use the symbol T for tense and TP for tense phrase instead of auxiliary and subject. Furthermore, just a noun phrase requires the intermediate and bar and category. The tense phrase also has the intermediate T-bar category as in the phrase structure trees below. Indeed, many linguistics assume that all expressions were explicit for any of noun-phrase, prepositional phrase, verb phrase, tense phrase, adjective phrase, or complementaire phrase have three levels of structure. This is referred to as X-bar theory. The basic three-level X-bar schema is follow: XP, specifier, XP, X-head, and complement. The first level is XP itself. The second level consists of a specifier, which functions as a modifier and which is generally an optional constituent. And X-bar, for example, noun phrase specifier is determiner of verbs. Phrase specifier is an adverb such as never or often. An adjective phrase specific is a degree word such as very or quite. The third level is an expansion of X and consists of a head X and a complement, which may itself be a phrasal category, thus giving rise to recursion X-bar. Structure is thought to be universal, occurring in all the world languages. To the order of the element inside XP and X may be reversed, as we saw in Japanese. We will not use X-bar conversion in our description of syntax except on the few occasions where the notation provides an insight into the syntax of the language. For sentence, we will generally use the more intuitive symbol as an auxiliary instead of tense phrase and tense, but usually think of auxiliary and subject as having the same relationship to each other as verb phrase and noun phrase, and so on. To achieve this more straightforward approach, we will also ignore the tense category until it's needed later on in description of the syntax of the main verb be. Without the use tense present tense, we need an additional phrase structure rule to characterize structure containing auxiliary. Like the other reserved phrase rules, this rule will allow multiple auxiliary positions. And for the example is the child may be sleeping. In this sentence, there is modal may and be. The introduction of auxiliary into the system raises a question. Not all sentences seem to have auxiliaries. For example, the sentence Sam kicked the soccer ball has no modal have or be. There is, however, a time reference for this sentence, namely the past tense on the verb kick. In sentences without auxiliaries, the tense of the sentence is its head. Instead of having a word under the category auxiliary, there is a tense specification, present or past, as in the following three. In the following three, there is subject Sam as noun phrase, and verb phrase is auxiliary past, and verb phrase kick the ball. The inflection on the verb must match the tense in auxiliary. For example, if the tense of the sentence is past, then the verb must be have an or ed affix, or must be an irregular past tense verb such as ate. Auxiliary not only specifies the sentence timing reference, but it also specifies the subject approval features. For example, if the subject is we, auxiliaries contains the feature first person and plural. If the subject is he or she, auxiliary contains the feature third person and singular. So, another function of the syntactic rules is to use auxiliary a matchmaker between the subject and the verb. When the subject and the verb bear the same feature, auxiliary makes match. When they have incompatible feature, auxiliary cannot make a match and the sentence is ungrammatical. And here we can see the three. And the example is for present, first person, compre libre, and second person, compre libre. The verb compro by in the first sentence bears the first person singular morpheme, all which matches the agreement feature in auxiliary, which in turn matches the subject. 1. The sentence is therefore grammatical. In second sentence, there is a mismatch between the first person subject and the second person feature in auxiliary, and so the sentence is ungrammatical. The next is structural ambiguities. I mentioned earlier, certain kind of ambiguous sentence have more than one phrase. Structure 3 is corresponding to a different meaning. And the sentence is, the boy used a telescope to see the man. For the first phrase structure, 3 represents this meaning. The key element is the position of the prepositional phrase directly under the verb phrase. Notice that although the prepositional phrase is under verb phrase, it's not a complement because phrasal categories don't take complements, and because it is not selected the verb. The verb is selected and noun phrase. In this sentence, the prepositional phrase has an adverbial function and modifies the verb. And for second structure 3, the meaning is, the boy saw a man who had a telescope. The prepositional phrase with the telescope occurs under the direct object noun phrase, where it modifies the noun man. In the second meaning, the complement of the C is the entire noun phrase, the man with the telescope. And the rule for first structure is verb phrase to verb phrase prepositional phrase. And the second structure is noun phrase generated by the rule noun phrase prepositional phrase. And here you can see of the set of phrase structure rules. This is not the complete set of phrase structure rules for the language. Phrase structure in English cannot be generated with these rules, some of which we will talk about later. And the last part is more structure. Many English sentence types are not accounted for by the phrase structure rules given so far. And you can see the sentence. First sentence is the dog completely destroyed the house, and second, the cat and the dog were friends, and the last is the cat is coy. And you can see the structure tree. For the first sentence is contained the adverb completely, adverb or modifiers. They can put specify how when it happens, quickly, slowly, completely, or when it's happened, yesterday, tomorrow, often. As modifiers, adverbs are sister to phrasal category. For the sentence 2 contains a coordinate structure, the cat and the dog. A coordinate structure results when two consonants of the same category. In this case, two noun phrases are joined with a conjunction such as and or. Though this may seem counterintuitive in a coordinate structure, the second member of the coordination forms a constituent with the conjunction and. And for the sentence 3 contains the main verb be followed by an adjective. The structure of main verb sentences is best illustrated using tense notation. The main verb be act like the modals and the auxiliaries and be and have. For example, it's moved to the beginning of the sentence in the question. Is that cat coy? For this reason, we assume that the main verb occurs under tense and taken an XP complement. And you can see the structure tree. Oran non-phrase or prepositional phrase as would occur in the cat is a felon or the cat is in the tree. As before, we will leave it as an exercise for you construct the phrase rules for the sentence type the tree structure they generate. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you for your attention. And if there are mistake, I'm say sorry because I'm only human. So assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.